Darius had always been known for his big heart and willingness to help others. So when he saw old Mrs. Jenkins struggling to fix her TV on a chilly autumn afternoon, he didn't hesitate. Despite knowing he should head straight home to care for his younger siblings, he couldn't ignore the old woman's plea for help. "Let me take a look, ma'am," Darius offered with a warm smile. Mrs. Jenkins, with her silver hair tied neatly in a bun, looked relieved and invited him inside. Little did Darius know that this simple act of kindness would set off a chain of events that would change his life forever. As Darius worked on the TV, the two fell into easy conversation. Mrs. Jenkins shared stories of her past, revealing that she had been an elementary school teacher for over 3 decades. Her voice was filled with nostalgia as she talked about the children she had taught and how rewarding it had been to watch them grow up. "What grade did you teach?" Darius asked, genuinely interested. "Mostly 3rd grade," she replied with a fond smile. "Those kids were always so full of life and curiosity. Teaching them was one of the greatest joys of my life." Darius could see the pride and joy in Mrs. Jenkins's eyes as she spoke. It made him think about his own teachers and the impact they had on his life. As they chatted, he finished fixing the TV, and Mrs. Jenkins offered him a glass of lemonade on the porch. "You're a good boy, Darius," she said softly. "Your kindness today means more to me than you can imagine." Walking home, Darius felt a warmth in his heart. He had simply wanted to help, but the connection he had made with Mrs. Jenkins was unexpected and meaningful. Little did he know, this small gesture of kindness was about to lead to something much more significant. The next morning, Darius's family was bustling with their usual morning routine. His mother, tired from her night shift at the hospital, was preparing breakfast, while Darius helped his younger siblings, Kayla and Jordan, get ready for school. The peaceful morning was suddenly disrupted by the sound of police sirens outside their home. Darius's heart sank as he saw 2 police cars pull up in front of their house. His mother, looking alarmed, hurried outside with him. To their surprise, Mrs. Jenkins stepped out of one of the cars looking anxious and unsure. The neighbors began to gather, whispering among themselves. "Mrs. Jenkins, what's going on?" Darius asked, trying to keep his voice calm. Mrs. Jenkins explained that after Darius had left her home the day before, she realized her wallet was missing. She had searched everywhere but couldn't find it. Her eyes filled with sadness and doubt as she asked Darius if he had taken it. Darius felt as though the ground had been pulled out from under him. "No, Mrs. Jenkins, I didn't take your wallet, I swear," he said, his voice trembling with a mix of hurt and disbelief. One of the officers suggested searching the house to rule out any possibility. With a heavy heart, Darius's mother agreed. The search was thorough and uncomfortable, with the officers going through every room. Darius and his family watched in silence, humiliated and scared. After what felt like an eternity, the officers finished their search and found nothing. They assured the family they would continue their investigation and left, leaving behind a cloud of suspicion and tension. Word of the incident spread quickly through the neighborhood. While some neighbors defended Darius, others cast suspicious glances his way. The community, once united, was now divided over the question of Darius's innocence. At school, Darius's friends rallied around him, refusing to believe he could be involved in anything dishonest. His best friend, Andre, was particularly vocal, defending him to anyone who would listen. Even some of the teachers expressed their support, knowing Darius as a hardworking and respectful student. Despite the support, Darius felt the weight of judgment and suspicion wherever he went. Every glance, every whisper felt like an accusation, and it wore him down. But he remained determined to prove his innocence and clear his name. Then, one afternoon, while Darius was helping Kayla and Jordan with their homework, something unexpected happened. Jordan, who was tech-savvy for his age, was browsing videos on his tablet when he stumbled upon a clip that caught his attention. "Darius, come look at this!" Jordan called out, excitement and shock in his voice. Darius rushed over and saw the video Jordan had found. It showed a group of neighborhood kids, and to his astonishment, one of them, Trey, a notorious troublemaker, was holding up Mrs. Jenkins' wallet and bragging about how he had taken it. Darius couldn't believe his eyes. This was the proof he needed. He quickly grabbed the tablet and showed it to his mother. They immediately headed to the police station, where they presented the video to Officer Daniels. "This changes everything," Officer Daniels said after watching the video. "We'll investigate this further, but it looks like we've found the real culprit." The police soon shifted their focus to Trey and his friends. After being questioned, Trey admitted to stealing Mrs. Jenkins's wallet, confirming what Darius and his family had known all along. Darius was innocent. The news spread quickly, and the community was both relieved and shocked. Those who had doubted Darius were now apologetic, and those who had stood by him felt vindicated. Mrs. Jenkins, deeply remorseful, visited Darius's home to apologize for the pain her accusation had caused. "Darius, I'm so sorry," Mrs. Jenkins said, her voice filled with regret. "I should never have doubted you. You've shown more grace and kindness than I could have ever expected." The community, recognizing the injustice Darius had faced, came together to make amends. They organized a gathering in his honor, and during the event, Mrs. Jenkins made a surprising announcement. "I've lived in this community for many years," Mrs. Jenkins began, her voice steady despite the emotion in her eyes, "and I've learned that it's the young people like Darius who give me hope for the future. To honor his integrity and to help other young people like him, I'm establishing the Darius Taylor Scholarship Fund." The crowd gasped and then erupted in applause. Mrs. Jenkins continued, "This fund will provide financial assistance to Darius and other deserving students in our community, helping them achieve their educational dreams." Darius was overwhelmed with emotion. This scholarship would not only make his college dreams possible, but also serve as a lasting testament to the strength of character he had shown throughout the ordeal. As the community celebrated, Darius stood with his family, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. The experience had been challenging, but it had also brought out the best in him and those around him. It had taught him the power of resilience, the importance of standing up for what is right, and the enduring impact of kindness. The Darius Taylor Scholarship Fund became a symbol of hope and unity in the community, ensuring that Darius's story of integrity and perseverance would inspire others for years to come. As the months passed, Darius adjusted to his new reality. The scholarship fund set up in his name became a beacon of hope for many students in the community, and Darius worked hard to live up to the expectations placed upon him. He continued to excel in school, balancing his studies with his responsibilities at home and his part-time job. The scholarship fund eased some of the financial burden on his family, allowing him to focus more on his education and future. One day, Darius received a letter that would change the course of his life once again. It was from a prestigious engineering college offering him a full scholarship to study there. Overwhelmed with joy, he ran to share the news with his mother. "Mom, I got in. I got the scholarship," he exclaimed, waving the letter excitedly. Mrs. Taylor hugged her son tightly, tears of pride and happiness streaming down her face. "I knew you could do it, Darius. You've always been destined for great things." The community kept supporting him. Mr. Rodriguez offered to teach Darius practical engineering skills to help him prepare for college. His teachers helped him prepare for the challenges ahead. As he left for college, the community had a farewell gathering. It was a sad but happy event. Mrs. Jenkins, Darius's grandmother, stood up to speak. "Darius, you've shown us what it means to be kind and honest. Your journey inspired us. We're proud of you. Go out into the world and make a difference." Darius stood to respond, his voice steady. "Thank you. Your support means a lot to me. I'll make you proud and remember what I've learned here." Darius started a new journey with his family and friends. Darius did well in college. He made friends, did well in school, and stayed kind and honest. He always came home, welcomed with open arms and smiles. Each visit was a reminder of the community that had believed in him. He told stories about his achievements and new experiences. Darius graduated with honors and got an engineering degree. He was offered a job at a top engineering firm, but he never forgot his roots. He returned to his hometown and used his skills to help the community that had helped him. He volunteered at local schools and inspired students, He kept supporting the Darius Taylor Scholarship Fund so other students could have the same chances he did. He stayed close to family and friends. Darius Taylor's story became a legend in his community. He beat the odds with kindness, resilience, and support. His journey showed how one person can change the world. He stood with Mrs. Jenkins at the park, watching the sunset. He thought about his journey. He knew his community would always be there for him. Darius Taylor's story inspired many.